Hey guys, Martin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so today, with the official reveal of the next Dokkan festival being Android 16, we are going to talk about the potential EZAs and Super EZAs that we could see in this celebration. I did go over some possible ideas over the last couple of days when we were talking about the various different hints and like what the hints could be. There was only one hint, but the various different ideas for what that hint could be. And we talked about a potential Hellzone Grenade Piccolo or like a Spirit Bomb Goku. Of course, we did not get either of those things. I still really don't understand how that hint is supposed to be relevant for being Android 16. I think I did see one person predict Android 16 and say that apparently there were 16 of those like circles on the image, but I'm not really sure that that in and of itself is like enough to really have gone, oh yeah, that's a hint for an Android 16. But you know, apparently it was, and Android 16 is in fact what we are getting. So his leader skill is Androids and Uncontrollable Power. So we're going to be looking at some characters that are on those categories. I could not remember for the life of me that Android 16 is on Uncontrollable Power. And then the strange thing is, if you look at the category, the 17s and 18s from the Android/Cell Saga are also on Uncontrollable Power, which is not something that I had really thought about before. Because I guess when we think about Uncontrollable Power, we think about like Broly and like just power that is out of control because it's so like extreme. But I know it's not official, but the wiki has the description of consists of characters who were rebellious, berserk, or couldn't control their power. Which I guess I'm not sure why like the Tree of Might Turles would be on here. Although, or is it just because he's the giant ape Turles? Are all the other giant ape? Yeah, all Bardock and giant ape and stuff are on here, so I guess that's why. But yeah, rebellious, I guess, is 16 though. 17 and 18 obviously were, but yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't realise that he was on Uncontrollable Power. I don't know if he should be. I'm not sure. The other interesting thing is this is the other like Hell's Flash Android 16 that's in the game. And this guy's on Connected Hope, which the new one isn't, which is interesting. And then there's that Superclass Int one, but then he loses a bunch of categories, like he's not on Android/Cell Saga or Mission Execution, because I guess like once he becomes the like reprogrammed and like by Bulma and obviously the bomb taken out, I guess that makes him like not target Goku or Mission Execution anymore. So yeah, interesting one. But it's strange that this guy, the Int Hell's Flash one, is an extreme one, has those other categories including saviors, but also randomly has Connected Hope, whereas the Dokkan Fest one doesn't. But anyway, jumping in, when it comes to androids, obviously androids is a reasonable sized category. It's a category that I always used to be a fan of back in the day, and have always enjoyed seeing more buffs for. So this is definitely a welcome addition with some of the new stuff that we're going to get. But obviously, if we jump into like the EZA candidates, the number one that is on everybody's mind, I'm sure, is the tech androids, right? Because these guys are going to be on the full 220 leader skill for 17, because he leads androids and Uncontrollable Power. Obviously they are on androids, and then his, well, they're on Uncontrollable Power as well. His plus 50% are for Android/Cell Saga. What are the other ones? I need to double check, but they're on Android/Cell Saga, obviously. Mission Execution or Artificial Life Forms, because that's the thing. When it comes to 17 and 18, they're not on Artificial Life Forms. So a bunch of other androids will get the full leader skill from 16, but some 17s and 18s won't, because unless they're from the Android/Cell Saga, they won't be getting his full leader skill because they're not on Mission Execution or Artificial Life Forms. The most interesting thing about that, which I mentioned in the reveal video this morning, is the fact that the banner unit is MVP 17, who is not on Android/Cell Saga, Mission Execution, or Artificial Life Forms. So the banner unit for 16 is an Android 17 that doesn't get his full leader skill, which I do find somewhat odd, but I guess, you know, it is what it is. Banner units recently have been hit or miss. Daima Piccolo was really, really good. So hopefully 17. I mean, he's got 70% dodge and 70% damage reduction. So I feel like he's in a pretty good spot in terms of like he's going to end up being pretty good. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But the Tech Android's absolute #1 go-to like choice for getting an EZA. They're on the full leader skill. 16 is a slot 1 unit, and these guys are not really a slot 1 unit. Like even with an EZA, giving them some extra defensive capabilities, aside from the fact that they can obviously nullify Key Blast supers. So if you're fighting a boss who's only attacking once in slot 1 and it's a Key Blast super, then obviously in those situations these guys can go in slot 1 perfectly fine. But they should look pretty good next to 16, getting all of the defensive support that he gives. They already raise attack and defense on their super attack, so if anything this is only going to increase, whether it's greatly or for multiple turns or something like that. They create orbs. Now I guess the problem with an orb changer who is not in slot 1 means you have to pick up the orbs with 16 and hope you don't pick up like too many, like the orb changing has made the entire field almost all tech orbs and rainbow orbs, and then it's difficult to save them for these guys. But they do share Android Assault and Fierce Battle with 16. I think that's basically it, but Android Assault at least at level 10 does give 2 key, so the rotation of those two together should be pretty good. Now the other big one that I know people want to see, or big ones I should say, because they should obviously come at the same time, is the STR Gamma 1 and the AGL Gamma 2. So these guys getting EZAs during this celebration would be pretty awesome, because these guys of course are androids, but they are also artificial life forms, so they just get the full leader skill from Android 16 without having to worry about like which arc they're from or anything like that. So these guys are going to get the full 220 lead, and they should certainly be quite interesting because obviously Gamma 1 was really good. He gives all allies key and defense. He's a decent defensive unit. He didn't need to be in slot 1, but could be a decent slot 1 at the time of his release. He has guard for 4 turns. Hopefully that can be increased or at least made permanent, or maybe he has like a condition for just permanent guard, like an android ally or something would obviously be really, really good. And then as he gets hit, he builds up damage reduction. This guy has the potential to be incredibly good. Now the problem is, as you say, with 16 is one of those units he just wants to always be in slot 1. So when they make the EZA for this guy, he could still be a slot 1 unit because that will help out some other teams. But if they make him a unit that very much relies on being in slot 1 as well, that wouldn't be super helpful for the Android 16 team. But for the most part, I think he could definitely be very good. He's got solid defenses. He can nullify unarmed supers. He's supporting the allies, which is really good. And then, of course, Gamma 2 on release, not as good defensively, but could get some crazy offense with loads of supers in a turn, is giving key and attack support. So obviously having the two of them floating around on the team or just on a rotation together was obviously very, very good. This guy has a potential to, like, post EZA, just be one of those like insane damage dealing units, which I think would be really cool. Imagine if they made his super attack effect to like greatly raise defense for the turn, and then you get one of those turns where he does like 5 supers and then you're just kind of chilling. I mean, obviously the toughest bosses would still do massive damage to him with a super attack, but like he wants to be one of those characters as a damage dealer. He should at least be tanking like normals, and then obviously I wouldn't be surprised if the hardest hitting bosses are killing him with their supers, but if he's dropping like multiple like 30 million attack stat supers in a turn or something, then that's perfectly fine, I think, because he's the damage dealer, Gamma 1 is the tank. So these two EZAs I think we could definitely expect to see. I don't think we would definitely get them, but I mean they make perfect sense. These guys being the Dokkan Fest, I mean technically these guys are Dokkan Fest as well, right? Like they, I think the latest tweet from Proton looking at the database shows 2 spaces for TUR EZAs, so it would make perfect sense for the Gammas, or it could just be the androids and another TUR. Something that would be really good actually, I didn't bring the art up here, but like if these guys got an EZA and they did the thing that they have done in the past, where they just instantly also EZA'd their banner unit, the Int Jiro and 19, because if these guys got an EZA as well at the same time, that would obviously be really, really good, because these guys are also an android support character. They have a scouter if you're on low HP, They also absorb Ki Blast super attacks and heal you, which is pretty good. Obviously, their links aren't the greatest for somebody like 16. It's basically just going to be Android Assault and Fierce Battle again. But these guys end up being like a floating third slot support unit on the team anyway, so they're not going to be next to 16 regardless. So, like, these two being the two EZAs would be really, really good. And then these guys being the two, like, TUR EZAs would be really good as well. Otherwise, I guess if we aren't getting these ones straight away, if we did get the tech androids, alongside them we could get the physical 16 and 18. Because these guys, I believe, they were the banner unit for AGL Cell, right? And he EZA'd quite some time ago now, so their EZA is absolutely on the table. They were quite a random unit on release. They were okay as a banner unit, but they weren't anything super crazy. They do greatly raise attack and defense on their super, which is good. I mean, I think they have the potential to get a really solid EZA, to just be like a really good support unit for the team. And then, of course, they share some decent links, including weird links like tough as nails. But they share that with the 16, which is 20% defense and 5% damage reduction, which obviously would be pretty good for 16 in slot 1 and then these guys in slot 2 if their EZA was good enough. But realistically, they would need some form of damage reduction. The best thing they've got going for them defensively is just that when there's an extreme class ally, they get a medium chance to guard. So, I mean, this should be like, if there's an extreme, they should have like a high chance to guard in general anyway, and then when there's an extreme ally in the same turn, they should just have guard. Because then having 16 in slot 1 and these guys in slot 2 could actually be an interesting and potentially quite viable rotation. Because this tough as nails, 20% defense and 5% extra damage reduction is pretty good, considering the AGL 16 has 60% damage reduction already anyway, and also has guard. So him getting some extra defense and having 65% damage reduction would be pretty good. So yeah, these guys, I think these guys could absolutely get an EZA if the main like EZA is these guys. But it's just a weird, because I guess they could just do the thing like these guys would be a sub-EZA, so you just have to farm extra medals from the Cell EZA event. Or they could just do the thing where they make it missions. So like doing the missions for beating the Extreme Sea Battle for these guys just gives you the medals for these guys as well. But I think that would be really good, and they could be a really good addition to the team. Now, we've got a couple of super EZAs to worth mentioning as well, or at least the potential for them. The AGL androids, again, these guys, I guess because it's the rebellious part, I suppose, but I didn't realise these guys were on uncontrollable power when that got added as a category. So these guys are on the full leader skill as well, because obviously they're on Android/Cell Saga. So these guys could be very interesting. They support extreme class allies, which the 16 obviously is. They debuff super enemies defense. They get extra stats when they attack, and then they get extra stats versus a super class enemy. I mean, it's a pretty fairly basic EZA. They were pretty decent on release, but I think they have the potential to get a really good super EZA. We talked about it in the Piccolo, like, what if it's, what if it's a Piccolo Android/Cell Saga celebration kind of video. And I talked about in that context the fact that these guys wouldn't be as great releasing with a superclass character, because they are primarily geared towards supporting extreme and fighting against super. So that works perfectly with the Dokkan Fest actually being Android 16, who is extreme, and therefore they are providing the support to him. And obviously, the hardest events in the game at the moment, I guess we've got the Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. So there's not a lot that are focused around super class enemies, but I think these guys definitely could be really, really good with a super EZA. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, because we've already started the EZAs for the Prime Battle LRs. We've got the EdTech Goku one already. This was quite a while ago, and we haven't had the second one yet, but he was the first Prime Battle LR. These guys were the first Friend Summon LR, so I feel like their Super EZA can't be super far away, and this is the perfect celebration to do it in, because they're releasing another extreme like Android character, so that would make perfect sense. We also have the AGL Super 17. Obviously with the GDC, they've opened up the gates for the 120 lead Super EZAs, because they did the 2-year Super Saiyan 4s. So this guy getting a Super EZA could be really, really good. This guy's aged the best out of all the 120 leads. He has damage reduction, he builds up extra defense and damage reduction from taking hits. So all he really needs, I say all because we want him to be really good, like I'd give him as much as possible, but all he really needs is a better start of turn defense because he's got no starting defense. He just builds it up by being attacked. Give him the build up and everything still, because he can build up to 70% damage reduction. So if he's starting off with a decent chunk of defense, that puts him in a good starting point. And then you got to remember that even 16 alone, like in slot 1, gives over 100% defensive support if he's got like his full passive active and he gets hit and everything. So this guy already has the potential to be very strong without them doing that much to his Sub-EZA. But then you're putting him on a team with a leader that's giving an insane amount of support, then obviously, you know, this guy has the potential to go absolutely crazy defensively. Doesn't necessarily need to be an insane attacker, but obviously he builds up attack as well. Maybe if they made like bumped up the attack that he builds up a little bit, maybe put crit chance in there as well. And then really he doesn't need that much else. Like I say, give him like, you know, attack and defense 200% start of turn. Then all this other stuff could almost stay exactly the same. And I feel like he would still be very, very good. But obviously we want him to be as good as possible. All that support from the Dokkan Fest 16 is really going to help. So like defensive characters on 16's team, especially if they have like damage reduction or guard already, are going to look so much better under his leader skill because of all the extra defense they're getting from him on top of getting the 220 leader skill, right? So those are the main ones that I picked out, because the funny thing is you look at uncontrollable power and like other than the characters that are androids, none of them really seem like they fit with like a 16 celebration, right? The physical LR androids got their EZA way too recently, I think. Their EZA is only like 2 years old, I think. Cell Max only came out in like 2024, so he's not going to get an EZA. Obviously, he would be on 16's full leader skill, but the only other thing is we have like the Boos, because they're on uncontrollable power and artificial life forms. So, you know, wouldn't it be so random if they finally dropped this guy's Sub-EZA, the Boo Piccolo? That would make no sense because he supports Martian power, I believe. Or is it power absorption? So that wouldn't make any sense. But Dokkan's done stranger things, I guess. But yeah, the only other like there's androids on here, Super 17, but like these random characters like Broly, like we could say, you know, Super Saiyan 3 Broly, he's a 120 lead, he's on uncontrollable power, but he doesn't get the full leader skill, and it would just be so weird for him to be the EZA for like a newly released Android 16. Like that doesn't really make any sense. So when you look at uncontrollable power, I just feel like there isn't really anything here that's viable for being like the main big ticket EZA. The only other thing that is funny is all the people that are still coping for LR Kid Buu. Kid Buu technically is on the full leader skill for this guy because uncontrollable power and artificial life forms. So I guess there is a tiny sliver of a chance, as I suppose there always is when it's a possibility, that it would fit the celebration. But LR Kid Buu, for all the copers out there, would somewhat make sense, I guess, as the December Carnival, because he is at least on the full leader skill for Android 16. The only big thing is like Android 16 is not a big bad boss's character, and Kid Buu is. But Android 16 is supporting androids and uncontrollable power allies. So he is still supporting the non-android uncontrollable power units on the team. So yeah, I don't think it's very likely that the Part 2 LR will be Kid Buu. I'll make a separate video going over thoughts on the Part 2 LR a little bit later on, because, you know, we haven't even technically started Part 1 yet. But that will be a video for a later time, I think. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Out of all the units that we've gone through in this video, who do you think is most likely to get an EZA? Who do you think is least likely? What would you like to see the most in terms of who's going to EZA? Obviously, the other big thing is that the theme of this celebration, the character, the categories, none of this stuff lines up with the heroes EZAs. So still absolutely no idea when we're going to see those, because I don't think they'll just drop them randomly with something that they don't fit with. So absolutely no idea when we could see those, but let me know what you guys think on all of this stuff down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.